Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
General Blaine Holt, who told us when this war would start, who's been guiding us every step of the way. Welcome back, General. You like this MOU? You like this thing?
Yeah, we're off to a great start. We're not out of the woods, but boy, this could really change the way things are in the Middle East forever in a very good way, very positive way.
Let me just go to that line I just said. The Islamic Republic of Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons. This is the one thing that I picked up. I don't like the word reaffirms because it suggests, well, it says that, yeah, we've been saying this all along, which they have. I want them to get rid of the RE. It should just say affirms, or it just say pledges, because otherwise it's like, yeah, you see, we're just saying what we've always said. That's not a small thing in diplomacy speak, right?
It's not a small thing, but then let's look at a bigger thing. This is an MOU. This is a point of embarkation to open up the straits, get the world economy moving, and then finalize what the technical details are going to be. And so, look, they've saddled themselves to the MOU. We've got a point of direction to go off of. And the ones negotiating this may not be the ones negotiating the final terms, because I estimate that in the next 60 to 90 days, you're going to see power structures in Iran shifting back and forth. Maybe the IRGC comes off the table. Maybe even a pluralistic Iran goes into parliamentary seats. I just think you're going to see a lot of evolving coming out of this MOU. But the contours of it and the framing of it look very, very interesting to me. And I understand where the president's going. It looks like it could work out very well.
Let me ask you this. It looks like this is telling Israel to do certain things, and we're saying that, the war with Hezbollah is also over. How do we get them to do that when they're not a signatory to this thing, and Israel's already saying, we want no part of this?
Well, they're furious, and they're going to really have to examine how furious they are, because the United States has the lead role in the region right now at the request of Israel. And they enjoy many of our resources. And I see the war of words going back and forth. But as you well know, in international politics, those words normally mean nothing once everybody sits down and is a little bit more pragmatic. In other words, Israel has the right to defend itself. Nobody's denying that. It's the strategy and tactics used. And so if you've got some drones attacking from that buffer zone in southern Lebanon, we'll go get them. But don't be throwing missiles at civilian buildings in downtown Beirut. If they do continue to do that and they don't want to work with the president, well, then the president's going to take up a very, very different direction, one that the Israelis probably won't like. And when I say Israel, I mean the Likud government right now, because they're all arguing amongst themselves about what is the best posture with the United States. Well, throwing rocks at a president that you asked to solve the problem is not a good idea. And since we're not going to have a nuclear war in the Middle East, maybe just a simple thank you will do.
Yeah. What do they like? What would, if they were running America right now? And some people, I'm not alluding to that. And that came out by accident. I mean, there are conspiracy theorists out there who think that's true. I do not think that's true, and I actually think it's there's an underlying anti-Semitism when people push that idea. But what would they have us do? Like, what do they have in mind? I mean, this thing has got to end, I would think. What do they want?
You've got competing visions. I think that the Israelis, the state of Israel, has viewed Iran as an existential threat. But is it such an existential threat that you need to erase the country of Iran and everything in its path around it? Or is it just the government of Iran that's been the problem? And this is where you start to get strategic vision divergence. And I think that Iran had, starting last year when we sent the B-2s over, Iran probably had a very different vision, a much more aggressive vision about what to do. Israel had a more aggressive vision about what to do with Iran. And that's fine, but the United States is not about, look, they're allies, and they're going to be allies this time next year and the year after that, and that's wonderful. But what happens is when we are in an alliance situation, just like with NATO, you saw the president walk into the G7 and say, I'm the boss. Well, he does that at NATO too, and he means it. And what he means is America will be asserting itself here because we're the ones bringing the resources and we're the ones bringing what's required to solve the problem.
Wow. Yeah. And look, America's always the leader, but more so with Trump. Why did he say? What is he getting at? Why did he want to say that? What was that moment all about? I'm the boss. I watched the video. At first, I missed it. It wasn't that loud when he said it. You couldn't hear it. But he said to all the G7 when he walked in the room, "I'm the boss." I mean, he's what's he saying other than "I'm the boss"?
He already told them that, and they know it. But he did it for the cameras. Because he's sending that to all the European populations that I'll be taking control here. People should not separate the Iran crisis from the president's visit to the G7. Because what did Europe and Lloyd's of London do? They tried to shut the president down. They tried to be an impediment every step of the way. And now he shows up with this problem on its way to being solved, looking at them for failing to follow his leadership in the Ukraine-Russia contest and essentially punching them in the chest, saying, I am in charge here. And one way or another, you are going to follow United States leadership because you've made a hash of things. And you can be offended by that, but that's the way it is, unless you don't want us to pay 75% of all the receipts at NATO anymore, which we're very happy to do.
Wow. All right. And what is your take? Look, here's some of our favorite conservatives. Here's what they're saying. Cut, some. Only. I like Mark Levin. I like Ted Cruz most of the time. I can't stand Mike Pence, but listen to this. Cut 10, please. Cut 10.
This deal won't stand. It won't stand for long, even during the Trump presidency. Israel will not be able to adhere to what would be a suicide pact. The Israeli people won't put up with it. The prime minister won't put up with it. We should not accept it either.
Now, I don't want to see theocratic Islamists who want to kill us made stronger. So if this deal is giving them $300 billion, that's a mistake.
I believe it smacks of the kind of appeasement that we saw during the Obama years, the kind of appeasement that Joe Biden tried to accomplish.
So there is pushback. What do you think of the pushback, and how loud is it going to get?
I keep going to that line in Ron Burgundy where he's sitting back with a beer going, wow, that escalated quickly. Look, they don't like the terms of the deal because they're failing to recognize that the balance of power in the region is fundamentally shifted out of Iran's hands. They're not taking stock of the fact of all the achievements that have happened in this last 90-day campaign, which is they've lost almost every bit of their military. The mullahs and the ayatollahs are gone. They're willing to give up nuclear weapons. They can't pursue that anymore anyway because they're essentially broke. Food and water are a real big deal in Iran, not other things. And so it's not the same as it was. So now what do we have to do? We have to strangle and cut off the supply chains and money to these remaining proxies, make them go away. And we need to pursue this deal. The $300 billion that they're hand-wringing about, these guys are all embarrassing themselves. They don't understand what investment banking is and how that can work for you. So if the lead investment banks of the Middle East, SABIC in Saudi Arabia and Mubadala in Dubai, come with sacks of cash when Iran behaves itself and they invest in infrastructure projects that restore that country, well, they're going to be entangled economically, and we're going to have eyeballs all over the place all the time. So welcome to the international community. This is what that looks like.
Blaine Holt, you understand it all. We so appreciate it. Thank you, sir. The retired general from the U.S. Air Force, master strategist. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right, to be continued.